Military action in Iran. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House, where the administration is urging Republican lawmakers to oppose the move.
You can see this area of impact.
Plus, we have a reporter on the ground at one of the sites where an Iranian missile crashed down in northern Iraq.
What exactly were the Iranians trying to target here?
Right now, severe weather is hitting the state in the form of wind and surf.
You can't be a part-time global celebrity.
Disbelief and disappointment have followed the announcement from Prince Harry and Meghan that they are stepping back from royal duties.
It's the tabloids that have driven him out.
These stories, plus we'll talk to the Best Buy worker that took down an apparent shoplifter, coming up on This Is Now. Hey, good afternoon everyone. I'm Jonathan, your director producer here. Alongside Lacey, we got some breaking news coming to us out of the Middle East. Let's get right to it.
New information could further inflame tensions between the U.S. and Iran. Now, according to reports, the Ukrainian jetliner that crashed yesterday had been targeted by an Iranian anti-aircraft missile system. CBS's Kenneth Craig is in New York with the story.
CBS News has learned the Ukrainian jetliner that crashed outside Tehran was likely targeted by an Iranian anti-aircraft system. U.S. officials are confident the Boeing 737 was struck by at least one missile that had been fired from the ground. President Trump believes the suspected missile strike may have been unintentional.
It was flying in a pretty rough neighborhood, and somebody could have made a mistake. Some people say it was mechanical. I personally don't think that's even a question, personally.
Sources tell CBS News that U.S. intelligence picked up signals of a surface-to-air radar being turned on. They said satellites detected infrared blips indicating the launch of as many as 2 missiles. Those blips were quickly followed by a third showing an explosion. There were no survivors among the 176 passengers and crew members on board. 63 of the victims were Canadian citizens.
This may well have been unintentional. This new information reinforces the need for a thorough investigation into this matter. Canadians have questions, and they deserve answers.
At some point, they'll release the black box. Ideally, they'd get it to Boeing, but if they gave it to France or if they gave it to some other country, that would be okay, too.
Authorities in Iran and Ukraine initially suspected a mechanical problem caused the crash. Ukrainian investigators are on the ground in Iran, and there will be an international investigation into what happened. Kenneth Craig, CBS News.
Now, those investigators have already recovered both black boxes from the plane. You know, we got something new, some breaking details on this story to show you. This is on CNN right now. This video just started circulating online. They're saying this video, you're seeing 2 frames is what we're showing you right now for our podcast listeners. 2 frames of this new video that appears to show those missiles hitting that airliner over the sky of Tehran. Now, CNN has posted this. It's on their site. But they are saying they cannot confirm the authenticity of this video just yet. They're working on that. Again, this is a breaking detail regarding that story. Some video circulating right now that says it appears to show missiles, anti-aircraft missiles, hitting that jetliner over Iran. We're going to stay on this story, Lacey. We got a lot more details to get to. What can you tell us?
Meanwhile, the House is debating a war powers resolution aimed at limiting President Trump's military actions in Iran. Skyler Henry continues our team coverage from the White House.
A senior commander in Iran's Revolutionary Guard says this week's missile strike aimed at U.S. forces in Iraq was just the start of a series of attacks across the region. President Trump has chosen sanctions instead of a military response.
They hit us with missiles. Shouldn't have done that, but they hit us. Fortunately for them, nobody was hurt, nobody was killed.
After a briefing Wednesday, Utah Senator Mike Lee says administration officials told senators not to debate the appropriateness of further military action against Iran, despite the Constitution giving Congress the power to declare war.
When we send our brave soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines into harm's way, we owe the American people the decent courtesy to follow the Constitution to debate and discuss these actions.
The House is expected to take up a resolution this afternoon aimed at limiting the president's ability to take further military action against Iran, something President Trump does not support. The president accuses Democrats of standing up for the Iranian general killed in a U.S. drone strike this week.
When Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats want to defend him, I think that's a very bad thing for this country. I think that's a big losing argument politically.
We have no illusions about Iran, no illusions about Soleimani. He was a terrible person, did bad things. But it's not about how bad they are. It's about how good we are.
Virginia Democrat Tim Kaine has introduced a similar resolution in the Senate. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
All right, guys, we're again going to stay with this story because we just got a close-up look at one of those sites where the Iranian missiles hit and crashed down into northern Iraq. Clarissa Ward stood literally in the middle of one of those craters. She just filed this report from that scene. You got to check this out. Here we go.
So this is one of the sites where Iranian missiles hit the other night. And as you can see, it's a rural area. There is nothing much to see here. The nearest thing locals tell us is a refugee camp just under a mile in that direction. Local security officials also saying that there are no Americans here. There are no American bases here. But nonetheless, this is where one of the missiles hit. And you can see this area of impact. And if you go through some of these small craters, you can also find some shrapnel from where the missile hit. But the question really is, what exactly were the Iranians trying to target here? Were they even trying to target something specific at all? Or were they just trying to show that their missiles have a far reach? More broadly speaking, of course, this is a strategically important area for the Americans. Northern Iraq has essentially been the base of operations, particularly special forces operations, in the fight against ISIS. For locals in this area, and there aren't that many of them, but they did say it was frightening to hear the blast. Windows were blown out. And of course, there's real concern. Nobody wants to see tensions escalate any further between the U.S. and Iran. People in areas like this thought that this conflict had nothing to do with them. But the Iranians showing with this missile hit that their attacks can go anywhere. Clarissa Ward, CNN, Bardarash, Iraq.
Thank you, Clarissa. Again, we're going to stay with that story. Have the very latest for you coming up this evening. But for right now, we got to get some news here at home. Severe weather impacting the state. Look at that camera bouncing around.
Shaking.
From our vantage point here in the digital center, we're looking at a live video feed pointed towards Makiki. Just bouncing around, very windy. Anyone who's been outside today know how windy it is. And you have a road alert due to that, right?
Yes,
probably due to that. We've not officially confirmed, most likely.
We're working to confirm that, but we have a downed electric pole and it's blocking Makiki Street. This is in between Nehoa Street to Dominus Street, right below Hana Hau'oli School. And in fact, officials just released this information maybe like 10-15 minutes or so ago. So it's going to be a while until they can clear it. I'm sure there are even some wires down on the roadway, so avoid that. Use those surface or side streets to make your way around Makiki Street.
And look at this, Lacey. This is from the KS campus.
I was going to say, right here on Oahu.
Yeah, look at that. We got some downed trees there. The city is also dealing with some downed trees in places. They've closed some of the botanical gardens. They're having to clear some debris there. Let's get a check of exactly what's going on out there. Here's our own Guy Hoggy.
How's it on this Thursday? I'm Guy Hoggy with your HawaiiNewsNow.com forecast. These blustery winds will be pushing us around for the next several days. In fact, there is a wind advisory on for Oahu, Maui County, as well as parts of the Big Island. Those winds will be running 25 to 35, gusts to 50 in these shaded areas. So that means there's a possibility for power outages, maybe even some property damage. Definitely will affect the traffic. So if you live in an area affected by strong winds, take precautions. Not only that, we're expecting increasing rainfall, especially for Maui and the Big Island. That's where a flash flood watch is posted until Saturday evening. We could see thunderstorms which could drop a lot of rain, and that could lead to some flooding conditions. And all of that moisture is coming from this disturbance which is closing in on the state. Already we've seen some spotty downpours this morning, and you can see a generous amount of rain coming into those windward areas, occasionally spilling over to those leeward sides. So for today, drier conditions for Kauai, but still for Oahu, for Maui, and the Big Island, we'll have some spotty downpours. And remember, that flash flood watch will remain posted until Saturday for for Maui County and the Big Island. Now, as far as the surf, there's not a whole lot going on. It's rather small. Until tomorrow, we got a little bit of a boost expected. So we're in for an extended run of windy, blustery conditions. So take precautions, hang on to the little kids and your skinny friends.
Oh my gosh.
I love when he says that.
I don't have that problem.
We need to find skinny friends.
You just came in from outside. How was the hair day?
Okay, I had to brush the mane a little bit before I came in here. The trees were shaking, everything. The wind was very, very strong.
Yeah, we're joking around a bit, but it does have the potential to get pretty dangerous out there.
Yeah.
So be careful. I saw a lot of people holding on to their hats today.
Their umbrellas with the rain too.
I know. So we're going to track the severe weather all day. We'll again have the latest for you on our HNN digital platforms. We'll be giving you updates as they come in. We're watching that situation happening in Makiki as well. But let's move on to some other local news.
Victory yesterday for the 28 people arrested at the city's redevelopment project at Sherwoods as a judge dismissed all of the cases. Mahelani Richardson reports.
Well, the final cases were dismissed today in Kaneohe District Court. It's something prosecutors agreed to because of a flaw in the charges.
I will dismiss all cases without prejudice.
Only Hawaii News Now was there as a judge dismissed the petty misdemeanor cases for the Sherwoods arrestees.
I'm happy that it was dismissed because that means that we sat down for a reason.
A petty misdemeanor carried with it a maximum 30 days in jail. So today, the defendants say a burden has been lifted.
I feel like it was worth it because it was a small price to pay.
In September, police arrested 28 protesters for obstructing a highway or public passage as the city brought in an excavator for its Waimanalo Bay Beach Park redevelopment project that includes a sports field and playground. 2 weeks after the arrests, the state Supreme Court ruled in a similar case on Maui that an obstruction case failed to define the charges. Prosecutors agreed the Sherwood cases had the same flaw.
State would concede that our complaints do not have that definition, as that case did come out after the charges were filed in these cases.
The terms obstruct, passageway, highway, they weren't defined in this particular charging document. They don't feel like they did anything wrong, reasons why they pleaded not guilty in the first place.
The cases were dismissed without prejudice, which means prosecutors can refile the charges.
Now, we asked the city for an update on the status of the controversial project and have not heard back yet. In the last update in mid-December, the city said final decisions on the project will not be made until there's general agreement. That came after a Save Our Sherwoods leader told the community the mayor told him he would nullify the plans. Mahealani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
All right, we're going to keep it local here at This Is Now. We got some news regarding people being priced out of paradise, really. It's sort of depressing, this news, I have to say.
Buyers from outside the state have purchased 24% of homes across Hawaii. The Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism shared the data with state lawmakers this week. Now, the calculation is based on data from the preceding decade in which about 1,000 of 5,000 homes were purchased by residents of other U.S. states. About 200 of the homes, or 4%, were purchased by foreign buyers. Non-resident purchases made up 15% of the sales on Oahu, but the department said the share is higher on the neighbor islands.
Now, experts say that we have some of the lowest property taxes of any state, so it makes a second home cheaper for folks looking for a tax incentive instead of like buying somewhere like New York or California, We'll stay on top of that story, of course, and keep following us on our Priced Out of Paradise series that you can see on our website and HNN digital platforms right now. All right, moving on, we got some news regarding another Pearl Harbor survivor who is unfortunately passed away.
A Pearl Harbor survivor whose dream was to keep the memory of those who died fighting for this country and the war in which he served alive has died. Will Leonard, who was 98, died Sunday in a Wisconsin hospital while surrounded by family. He died after a sudden onset of pneumonia. One of his life's works was to help others remember and learn from the sacrifices made by U.S. service members at Pearl Harbor and during World War II.
I had the honor of going to the remembrance ceremony this year. I did not get to meet him, but I hope he's made it here a few times, and because that was his mission from reading the article, is to inspire and let people know what happened there. We'll be posting that story in on our digital platforms here shortly, but now let's move on to Down Under, where we're still tracking a bunch of developing details
So tragic.
regarding those brush fires.
Ecologists in Australia now believe 1 billion animals may have died in the country's unprecedented brush fires. More than 25 million acres have burned since September, and researchers say koalas, kangaroos, and wallabies are among the animals that have perished. Jamie Yukis reports on the enormous grassroots effort to help these species survive.
These 4 wallaby sisters were found without their mother, who died trying to find food after wildfire took her habitat.
We're really worried. Yeah, we really are.
Jan Sheehan is one of hundreds of volunteer rescuers.
These little girls, we've got to keep them, and make sure they get back out to the wild to reproduce.
Nelda Patterson is caring for a wombat she's named Naked Nellie and an eastern gray kangaroo named Fina.
Between kangaroos and wombats, you're really looking at this as the future of the species.
Absolutely. Heaven only knows how many's left out there. Really, it's shocking to all of us. They're quite unique in Australia, these animals, and once they're gone, that's it.
This will be their home.
An hour north, Julie Taylor Mills has converted her property into a mini animal sanctuary. The rescue group Wires receives up to 1,000 help requests a day, treating severely burned brush-tail possums, kangaroos with burned feet, koalas in need of care, and flying foxes pushed out of their habitat.
What do we have here?
So this is a redneck wallaby.
Mills is caring for 2 wallabies, and a pair of joeys just arrived today.
What would you want Americans to know about what's going on over here?
This is climate change, and it has just hit us like a freight train. The drought is underpinned by the fundamentally changing climate.
The volunteers say it doesn't matter to them how the fire started, whether it was a lightning strike or arson. They've been calling for a climate change action plan for years amid the country's 3-year drought. Jamie Yukis, CBS News, Dalmini, Australia.
Those images, I cannot take it. It's heartbreaking.
And to think that 1 billion, maybe even more, has perished in these fires, it's so hard to wrap your mind around it. It just seems so surreal.
It's good to see people stepping up, though. Yesterday we told you about Elton John. Ellen, another celebrity, came to word some support. She said that at the Golden Globes. And now another celebrity, huge name, getting involved, right?
One of our favorites,
yeah.
American singer-songwriter Lizzo, helped out at an Australian food bank yesterday. In the video posted online by Food Bank Victoria, the multi-Grammy-nominated star is seen singing and packing food hampers and water supplies for communities in Victoria that were affected by the state's brush fires. The singer hugged and chatted with staff and volunteers, and according to the food bank, and is seen posing for photographs.
You see, she's just such a great spirit. I
Just
cannot
such a
get enough
good
of her.
energy.
She's always positive. I am the biggest Lizzo fan, and I have been for a while. Before the recent wave of success, I've been listening to Lizzo for like 3 years, folks.
And even now, more so.
Yes, even now, a lot more so. I love her. Please, Lizzo.
Come to Hawaii.
Yes, please. Please.
Do a concert.
Please. All right, more, celebrity royal news to get to. Still, Prince Harry making some big headlines still.
Big news. Shockwaves are rippling through Britain as Buckingham Palace tries to contain the fallout from Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's announcement that they plan to step back from their royal duties. Riley Carlson reports from London.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's sudden announcement is front-page news in Britain, with headlines including Megxit and the Rogue Royals.
I think it's a bit weird since they're part of the royal family, but guess it's their choice.
In a statement Wednesday, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex said they plan to step back as senior members of the royal family. But that didn't go over well with the rest of the royal family. Just hours later, the palace released its own statement, saying discussions are at an early stage and these are complicated issues that will take time to work through. It may not only be their decision that's caused all the drama, but how they went about announcing it. The royal family, including the Queen, reportedly wasn't told in advance.
I think that where they may have been surprised was the timing of the announcement before all the details have been properly worked out. You can't be a part-time global celebrity. You're in or you're out.
Since the high of their glamorous 2018 wedding, it's been no secret Harry and Meghan have felt the lows of being under the microscope. Many in Britain can sympathize.
If it's the tabloids that have driven him out, then it's a shame.
But others aren't so understanding.
I think it's hugely disrespectful to his grandmother and to the senior members of the royal family. And more importantly, what are the soldiers and the people like Invictus Games and all of these people going to think of him, that he thinks he can just walk away from his responsibilities?
The couple says they want to become financially independent as they split their time between the UK and North America. But exactly how that will work is a royal mystery. Riley Carlson, CBS News, London.
Royal drama
Some
shaping up for
big
sure.
Things happening in 2020 for them.
I said it before, I'm a huge Crown fan on Netflix. I can see this totally being made into an episode in a couple seasons. Yeah, I love that. I love that show. All right, we are talking one of my favorite 90s shows. If you are an early millennial, you will know what I'm talking about. The Nanny.
Yes.
She's making some news.
Yes, and if your favorite part of that was a jazzy opening theme song,
The
you
Nanny
are
named
in
Fran.
luck. You are in luck, Jonathan. The characters from that hit show will be getting plenty more musical numbers as they head to Broadway. Series star Fran Drescher is tied to the project. She'll create the premise along with actress and writer Rachel Bloom. Now, no production schedule for the new musical has been announced, but we are excited for this, Jonathan.
Very cool. I loved that show. I really, really, really did. And she's just great. She's such a cool spirit. Also, we're talking about Lizzo. She's another positive one out there.
A fave.
Yep. I'm a fan. All right. Speaking of someone I'm a fan of, this woman is making headlines. Probably one of the most viral things we've seen on our digital platforms this week. What are we talking about, Lacey?
Many of you shared this video of a Best Buy worker taking down an apparent would-be shoplifter. The viral video was caught on camera during the holiday season, but now that woman is sharing her story. Lisa Kubota has a story that you'll only find on Hawaii News Now.
As soon as I seen him running, that's when my mind just told me, go.
Summer Tapasa says she saw the man shoplift a pricey portable speaker from the store a few days earlier, but he got away. According to her, she spotted him again on December 23rd, dashing toward an exit with the same item. Feeling fed up, she decided to take action.
That was my first instinct, was to just stop him. He's not going anywhere. He's not about to do this again. I'm not about to let it happen, especially not on my watch.
In the surveillance video, the 24-year-old asset protection worker is seen blocking the man from leaving with the box. He eventually crashes through a nearby barrier, and another employee tries to help.
And I was like, dude, what is this guy's deal? Like, I'm trying to stop you. If you drop the item, I'll stop.
The footage shows the man holding onto her shirt as a shopper and other workers intervene. After a brief scuffle, he finally exits empty-handed, and Tapasa follows him outside.
I could hear my manager in the back of me saying, let him go, Summer. It's okay, let him go, let him go. They would rather let an item go than us risking our lives. And I totally understand that. I appreciate that.
The Salt Lake woman says she would have been fired for violating the company's policy, but she had already put in her notice to resign because she wanted to focus on her other job. Best Buy declined to provide details about its shoplifting procedures, but issued this statement. Quote, "Our biggest concern is always keeping our employees and customers safe. The reality is simple. Physically engaging with criminals can be dangerous. None of the products we sell is worth putting the safety of our employees at risk." Tapasa said the man apologized outside and tried to fist bump her, but she told him to leave and never come back.
I found out who the guy is, and I mean to reach out to him and bless him, because if I want to bless him so that he could stop doing what he's doing.
The clip, which was posted online, has been viewed millions of times, sparking positive and negative reactions and even some job offers. Tapasa, who has experience playing several sports, including football and rugby, says she's talking to a team from the Women's Football League Association, which plans to debut next year.
Their captain had hit me up on Facebook Messenger, told me that she's seen the video, and she's wondering if I was interested in playing for this football league. And I was like, this is crazy!
And now, a crazy encounter that lasted less than a minute could change the course of her life. Lisa Kubota, Hawaii News Now.
So cool.
I cannot stop watching that video because the guy is fairly large. I mean, and she was very strong to literally block him. But I like how she says, dude, just put down the item and I'll let you go.
And I say so cool because I would never promote violence or anything. And even
Right.
she said that, and even Best Buy said that. But just the fact that that football league stepping up to maybe give her some hopes at like pursuing that career, that's
all these
super
doors
cool.
opening. And you know, after all that happened, the fact that she wanted to get in contact with the guy to just
Isn't
blessings.
that amazing?
I
Yeah,
mean,
it shows you what kind
what
of
a good
person she
heart.
is, right?
Yeah.
All right, you can still watch that video and Lisa's story on our HNN digital platforms, on our Facebook feed. It's just probably a few dozen stories down on this timeline. After you're done watching this video, you'll find it. Until then, let's take you outside. Hey, it actually is not bouncing around out there from our camera pointed towards Makiki as much as it was, but be prepared. Those gusts are going to be back here any moment. So until then, hey, we're going to say goodbye for today.
Aloha.
Yeah, you know what tomorrow is, Lacey?
Friday!
We'll see you then, guys. Bye.